Go ahead and call the meeting to order. It's 6 o'clock. Welcome everyone. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. I do need a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. We are going to go out of order, and at this time we are going to go ahead and enter into executive session. I do need a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 742061B and J.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We need a roll call vote.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Bain?
Yes.
Chair Thompson?
Yes. Trustee Quinn.
Trustee Quimby, sorry.
Dave?
It's okay, we all forget
Yes.
it.
She's just getting me back because I forgot her name.
Oh!
On that note, it is 6:01 and we will be entering into executive session. I do need to ask everyone in the gallery to please. 6:59. We do have one item to take action on.
I move that we accept, honor,
Accept.
accept
Or be carried away.
the hire of Mr. Rusty Taylor as the Lakeland Joint School District Superintendent.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Excited.
Excuse me, Trustee Thompson, Jessica was supposed to come back.
Oh yeah, we need to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
As well as our speakers.
Yeah.
Well, we do have the little hockey puck thing,
Yeah.
so go ahead and bring Jess back in. But thank you for catching that, Brooke.
Thank you.
Yes, we would have been going on and been like, oh, where's Jess? We do have one item that we left out of executive session. We will go back in after the meeting to address it.
There she is.
You in the bathroom?
There's a live band outside my room.
Oh, nice.
Oh, a live band.
Very loud.
Well, we can't hear it. That's a bummer.
She's hiding in the closet.
Stuck in there.
Okay, so we've come out of executive session. We have made a motion to accept the Mr. Rusty Taylor as the superintendent of the district, and he has accepted our offer, and we have welcomed him aboard. That is what you missed. All right. Do we have any announcements, ladies?
No, it would just be the regular announcement for the regular board meeting.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I would like to remind everyone that these board meetings are business board meetings, held in public and not public board meetings. The board is governed by Idaho Code Title 74 and Title 33, Chapter 5, Idaho Administrative Procedures Act, or IDAPA, and follows the district policies. Do we have any other announcements? So the two of you know, we like to, oh no, those are accolades, not announcements. Never mind. I do
They
not
usually
know
happen
this.
about the same time
We do.
in the agenda.
Yeah. If we want to hear what's going on within our district, all the successes our schools are having, our students, anything, because it's important to let our community know that we see them, we hear them, and we appreciate them.
That's great.
Do we have any public input?
No.
Okay, sweet. Moving on to the financial report. Do we have any questions, comments, or concerns on the financial report? Jess, I do want to clarify for the public, because there is a budgeted amount and then our year-to-date amount, which is significantly over what we experienced. That is because of the payments we've received on the school modernization fund, is that correct?
Are you talking about the general fund or?
Yes, within the general fund.
So we still anticipate some additional revenue. And we do have some transfers that need to be made. So we need to move out all the Medicaid expenses into the Fund 260. And then there's some other transfers that will take place along with that.
Okay, so where we're sitting with a $19 million overage, you're telling me some of that's gonna go away? On revenues and expenses? Cause our year-to-date budget is $61,355,373. Currently, our year-to-date, funds is $79,586,646. So I'm just trying to clarify why.
Yes, okay. You're looking at the, as a whole, yes.
Correct, as a whole.
Because that also does include all other funds, so yeah,
Correct.
it's not just
I just-
general fund.
Yeah, I wanna make sure it's out in the public why it's that way.
Yes, so
Okay.
all funds, yes, with the 19 million that we received from the state,
It's
that's
still
in
in
unappropriated fund balances, so
Okay.
yes, that's why it's over.
Perfect, cause we did not have that information when the budget was made last year. Perfect, thank you. Does anybody have any other comments or questions on the monthly financial report?
I do not.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. We're gonna move on to the consent agenda. We have the minutes of the previous meetings, 5:21 regular board meeting, 5:30 special meeting, and 6:11 special board meeting. We have the minutes of the subcommittee meetings to be accepted, and the HR items. Do we have any conversation that needs to be had on, okay. On the, minutes of the previous meeting?
I do not, no.
Okay. Anything that needs to be had on the minutes of the subcommittee meetings?
Nope.
Okay, those will be accepted. Anything on the HR items?
I do not.
Okay. Anything on the regular and special bills?
I think I did have something on that.
Which again, Jessica, I wanna thank you for the new format. It's great.
Thank you.
Oh, no, I don't have anything. So I would move to approve the consent agenda as posted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Moving on to old business, we have the class size review. So you all are aware, we do review the class sizes quarterly. Last time we reviewed was in April, so this is a reflection of where we were at the end of the year. Some of these classes were pretty full,
Mm-hmm.
especially at full elementary. Garwood had
Well,
some
and
pretty
yeah,
good ones.
but what can you do? Hire additional teachers. Right.
There's always a solution. How we'll pay them is a different story.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have any conversation we need to hold on the class size review?
I do not.
Okay. We do have the financial follow-up. 18.3% increase.
Yeah, so if, Jessica Grantham, Chief Finance Officer, as the board may recall, earlier this spring, we were notified that iCrimp was no longer covering through Morton and Company. At that time, with the information that we were given, we were anticipating around an 8% increase. Unfortunately, the company that Morton was working with overpromised and underdelivered, so they had to go back out for additional coverage options, which resulted in an 18.3% increase on our liability, property, and cybersecurity coverage. I will say that the coverage is quite a bit more robust than what we can get through iCrimp currently. We were also told that the increase is comparable to what other ICRIMP insured districts users were experiencing, and I'm trying to validate that information at this time.
Okay.
I'd be happy, I will bring to the next meeting, I didn't have it in time for the board packet, but I will bring to the next meeting the coverage comparisons between what we had previously and what this new coverage provides.
Any other conversation we need to have on the financial follow-up?
No.
Or I should say conversation.
I was a little bit curious on the Board of Education line items. The legal ad for the concrete project that is down in purchased services, whereas all the rest of them are up with,
It just needs to be moved. I apologize, I'll make sure that happens.
okay, thank you. Just wanted to make sure that that was consistent.
Agreed. And I apologize, I just realized that I did sneak in the coverage difference into this packet, so you do have that information for the insurance coverage.
Do you know what page that was on?
It's actually pages 2 through.
Oh, the ISBA.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the coverage
Oh.
differences that Morton was able to give us.
Okay.
So it shows what our expiring coverage was and what
The renewal and the expiring. Okay. Yep.
So you can see that we're actually covered quite a bit more with this. One of the things that Morton had a hard time with ICRIMP is that the cost was going up, but the coverage was going down. So for example, if you look at gym floor water damage deductible, with the renewal of the new company, it's $10,000. With ICRIMP, it would have been 20% of the loss. There's some other significant things in here. For example, the property and course of construction and additions, that's $25 million in coverage, where with ICRIMP it's only $2.5 million in coverage. So it actually provides greater coverage for the district in some of the areas that we could experience some loss that ICRIMP has been slowly decreasing over the years. We do get to retain our relationship with, I'm gonna have to ask Brooke because I just drew a blank on, it's Amy White, Anderson, Julian, and Hall. That relationship for legal is still there with this new coverage.
Okay.
They did say that they do anticipate that the rates will stabilize with this new company.
Do we have anybody else that we have a quote from?
Not at this time. Unfortunately, as we discussed, this came so late in the game. All of this information, even with Morton, this is way later than we have ever received renewal packets from them. Typically, it's before we even do the budget hearing. We had reached out, like I said, to another broker to see, but that would require us to go out to bid. And at this point, with our coverage starting on July 1st, the timing of it is extremely unfortunate.
Okay.
We could go out to bid still, see what else we could get, and potentially cancel the coverage, but I do recommend that we move forward with this renewal at this time so that we are covered as of July 1st. iCrimp has dropped all of Morton's clients. We received that letter from them back in April.
I realize that it is late in the game, but I don't see the harm in going out to bid to see if, I mean, because we're taking an 18.3% increase.
Right, and I don't have a problem doing that. I just would like us to have coverage as of July 1st. I can't get an RFP out for insurance before we have to have coverage.
Can you, I mean, would you be able to find out the consequence if we did accept the insurance and then terminated it?
Yes, I will reach out to Chad.
Yeah, because business is, yeah,
The penalty for.
exactly.
I actually will
For
see him at
cancellation.
this conference that I'm at, so I will be able to talk to him in person.
Perfect,
Cool.
thank you. Anything more on the financial follow-up?
I just want to verify that the payments that we have paid to Lions O'Dowd for the Emmerich projects, that those are reimbursable from the payment bond?
We're
that-
working on making that claim right now.
Okay.
So we're actually asking for Lions O'Dowd and any additional architecture fees, as well as submitting warranty claims. We've had some issues. Tim would be able to speak to those as well, Tim, our facilities director. We've had some warranty work issues that we're working with Architects West to get remedied within the warranty period. So we should be able to be reimbursed for those expenses as well.
Okay. That's all I had.
Okay. Bob, do you have anything? Okay,
Thank you, Jessica.
thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
Moving on to the facilities update. Thank you.
Tim Haig, Facilities Director. Let's see here. Going back to what Jessica was talking about, we do have some warranty issues with the fascia paint at Spirit Lake Elementary and Athol Elementary.
Okay,
It's actually coming off of the metal pretty bad.
wow,
Same with Lakeland Middle School, but it's beyond the warranty period.
okay,
So I'm working with the painters to see if they'll warranty their work. Otherwise, we'll get other bids and we'll go back after the bond to pay
Okay.
for it.
okay. How are things going in facilities?
They're going. It's a struggle right now, I'll be honest. We're down a body right now. We have a requisition out to hire a new person.
Okay,
We've lost a lot of custodial throughout the district. Spirit Lake Elementary does not have a custodian at this time.
okay,
That is also out. We're going to start interviewing next week to fill these 2 open positions. We're struggling. Our manpower's down and there's a lot going on. June was not kind to us with no rain, so we're chasing brown spots in grass and fixing toilets.
I noticed the high school's gotten pretty brown. What's the
Yep.
situation with that?
So if you go in the main entrance of the high school, there's that spot that's brown right between the baseball field and the main parking lot.
Mhm.
The irrigation is not hooked up there. The city had set a new meter in that area that controls that whole area.
Okay,
That's actually in last year's budget to put some irrigation in that system that's above the tennis courts and below the bathrooms.
right,
I have to put in a backflow preventer,
okay,
which is about $5,600.
okay,
So July 1st, we'll put in that requisition, which is Tuesday.
Okay.
and get that out there, and then we're going to do the irrigation in that system, that area right there. And then the area that's between the baseball field and the parking lot, that has sprinkler heads in it, but it was disconnected because it was hooked up to that irrigation line.
Oh,
So we can't run it until we get a backflow preventer now. Before it was just a straight line,
okay.
and then they metered it,
And
so.
we can't get this backflow until July?
July 1st because of the PO system and the end of the fiscal year, and because we can't physically have the backflow preventer before the end of the month, so we have to do the PO for next fiscal year using the funds that are already allocated for it, but
From this year?
for this year. Yeah.
This is out of plant facility levy funds, the budget for this that Tim's referring to. If they were able to get the product here before June 30th, we would absolutely move forward with it within this fiscal year, but because it is not going to arrive until next fiscal year, that's why they're able to order it, it just won't be here until next fiscal year.
What is our facilities, what's your budget like?
There isn't one.
You don't have a budget for facilities,
There's no plant facilities levy.
but we have a department.
So we have, Jessica could probably answer this better than me, but we've actually been working diligently to try to figure out where we're gonna get money for certain things.
Okay.
So there's, money for emergency building repairs that I think are left over from last year. But going forward, there's no plant facilities budget.
Tim does have a general fund budget, and we, through the budget hearing, we did transfer some additional funds in from the school modernization fund interest to help supplement his budget for next year in the general fund, knowing that we were not going to have a plant facility levy this year, this upcoming year.
So you do have a budget that you're managing?
Jessica and I are working together on that. It's basically our supplies, emergency repairs, things like that. So there won't be any capital expenditures.
Okay.
But then the modernization funds, we will be working with that for some of the major upgrades like the HVAC systems, electrical,
Okay.
sidings, windows, doors,
Okay.
things like that.
But his budget this year is overspent, so they have been put on a pause unless it's an emergency, trying to be as responsible as possible to not continue to overspend. Tim inherited that budget halfway through the year. I anticipate with his diligence next year that we will be more on track.
Okay, it would be good to see what their budget is. I don't think the board's
It's on the
seen it.
general fund, in the monthly financials, for this year, under, let's see, it's under building, maintenance, student occupied, and maintenance grounds. That's where the bulk of their funding lies. They also, like I said, like Tim alluded to, they do have plant facility levy funds that they utilize for bigger projects that it's maintenance that it lasts longer than a year. Granted, this is for this year, but I could refer you back to the budget hearing packet that has the proposed budget for them that was approved for next year as well. And there was an increase in there.
Okay, thank you.
Since we're on the subject of last year's money, bring up the carpet at Betty Kiefer.
Right.
So we've been working diligently to get the best price we can. We found that we have a contract through Sourcewell, which is a nationwide program, that Mohawk, we can buy the carpet directly through their Sourcewell contract.
Okay.
Which is the best price, but it will be about $250,000. And I think we only had 100 and something in the budget. Jessica?
That is correct. We only have 100, per the previous facilities director's recommendation for the line item for that project, $100,000 was budgeted. There is some other funds available, not available, but that were line items for continuation of carpet projects in other areas. If we were able to pull that and pull the VCT tile for the cafeterias, we would be able to complete all of Betty Kiefer. But that would take the board directing us to make that adjustment.
Well, if you can bring all that information forward, we would be able to give direction. That would
Yeah.
be great.
Unfortunately, I didn't have the total cost for this one, before the
Yeah,
board
just got
packet
it.
was due.
Okay,
But we just wanted to bring it up to the board now, but we'll have everything lined out for you for the next meeting, so we can have an action item.
perfect, because if we don't get on it, we won't get
We're
on it.
running out of time.
Exactly, exactly.
Not just labor, but materials.
Right.
Where are you on the Lakeland Middle School work?
They're doing the demo on the rooms now. You referring to the carpet?
Well, in the gym.
Oh, the gym, yes, thank you. Actually, I had that written down here. So they've demoed the bleachers completely. We've got everything prepped. I had an email here that the bleachers will be here between July and August. So they will be installed before school starts. The flooring is still scheduled to get completely redone. They're restriping everything. So it'll be a nice new gym when they come back in September. And then concrete is going there as well. They dropped their equipment off, so that'll be their next demo site.
Included in that concrete work is the modification to the entry at Lakeland Middle School part of the concrete work.
No, so the concrete work is gonna take place as was bid out. And then the modifications to the entrance is still in the works with the city. I have a meeting with the chief of police to go over that as well. And then not ISP, but
ITD.
yeah, thank you. To just clarify where the crosswalks are going and so forth. But the concrete that we're putting in, we're not gonna have to take back out. So we're not gonna destroy what we put in. So it's just kind of get that clarified, and then we'll have to add to, so we can close that area off. But that is still moving forward.
The budget for that project for the new entrance was part of the school modernization plan that was presented as part of the budget hearing and it was approved as part of the budget hearing. So we do have some funding outlined in that for that new entrance exit.
The concrete replacement project pre-con complete, scheduled to begin at mid-June?
They started.
Okay.
Yes, so they,
Well, I'm just bringing it up because everything else has a building identified, but I don't see LHS on here for concrete.
oh, did I not put it on there? So I asked the concrete company to wait until after Rathdrum Days before they do any demo work over at LHS. So
Okay.
they're forming up on the other 3 schools,
Okay.
Athol, Spirit Lake,
Okay.
Garwood, yeah.
All right. Please tell me it will be done before school starts.
Absolutely.
Preferably before August when football people come.
They have a deadline, I believe, of August 22nd or 25th.
Okay.
And then they hit liquidated damages, so hopefully we're just dealing with punch list items at that point in time.
Perfect. Thank you. I
Yes,
appreciate that.
and we are testing all the sprinkler systems before they pour the concrete.
That's a plus. That's a good plan. Good plan.
Yes.
Okay, do we have anything else on that?
Yeah, I guess I don't understand why we have unbudgeted projects to consider. I thought we were not going to be doing that anymore and that what was put in the budget was, or everything that was going to be needed was going to be included in the budget.
Are you looking at my update?
Yes.
Trustee Bain, I think that was just a carryover from a previous
It was.
meeting. We'll make sure to update the format going forward.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
my fault. I got stuck out on the concrete and I forgot to update this before the board packet went out.
Okay, thank you.
No, we're not slipping anything in there.
I was like, I don't want to see all these nickel and dimes coming every
No.
month. Needs to be in the budget.
Yeah, I'll take that out for the next meeting.
Okay,
That's more my notes.
Perfect.
cool. Thank you.
All right.
Anything else on facilities? Perfect.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Moving on to new business action items. We have the supplemental curriculum. Do we need to have any conversation on this?
I do not. No. I would move to approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Moving on to board policy, we have the miscellaneous procurement standards, the use and disposal of school property, the self-directed learner procedure, and the evaluation of certified personnel. I will state that 7,400 and 9,100 were prepared by Jessica, and then we brought them to the board, and then we had to take them back because there needed to be some cleaning up of language. So Jessica and I did sit and work on that on her birthday, I would like to add. I did suggest we cancel. She said no. So it was just me and Jessica, but happy belated birthday again. The use or the self-directed learner procedure, I was not involved on that, but we did want to improve the procedure to allow self-directed learner to be more of an accessible program for our kiddos. And then the evaluation of certified personnel, I was not involved on that. However, it's my understanding that Dr. Pasley and I believe Shannon Loveland-Tain, maybe Shannon Ryder, I don't know, there were some administrators that sat in on it just to,
Okay.
they did, the previous policy was, see, there's no page numbers, not on here. But what they did was they went through our current policy and realized how much of the policy did not actually apply with how and what we do. So I've always been a firm believer, just write the policy with what we do. We don't need legal jargon, etc. So they did that.
Thank you for your work on that.
So do you have any questions, comments?
Move to approve 7,400, 9,100, 24,700, P5340.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Moving on to the copier contract.
You're saving us money, Jessica.
I'm doing my best. I really am. My apologies. Did we skip over the supplemental curriculum?
No, we didn't
Nope.
skip over it.
We approved
did-
it.
Yeah, we didn't have
Okay,
discussion.
sorry,
We approved it.
I apologize. I missed it.
It's okay.
It was fast. And these are like for like machines comparison.
They're a newer version. Our machines are at the end of their useful life. So that's why we did go out to bid for them. We were on a 5-year lease previously. This is replacing that 5-year lease with the service, and then our paper cut, which is like our copier tracking / release system that we have in place. It will save us about $11,000 a year and about $54,000 over the next 5 years. So I would like to recommend that we move forward with this so that we have appropriate machines in all the appropriate places.
And when can they be delivered?
They will be delivered before school starts. This was supposed to be heard last week, so I'm still hoping that they can meet that deadline. I will prioritize the schools over other buildings to ensure that they're in before school starts, but we're a week behind right now.
Okay. I would move to approve as presented.
For a cost of $58,212. Is that the cost?
Yes.
Second.
Yes. Yeah.
Actually, no. It's 53,937 is the cost.
That's the
Oh, that's the
savings.
savings.
Yeah, it's the
Sorry.
58,212.
Is the contract.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Moving on to the returning year-round exempt salaried employees.
Hi, Brooke Cunningham, Director of HR. So I typically would bring these with the directors, but last time it said just directors, and that salary schedule we changed. Now it just includes exempt employees. These people are July rollovers, so I had to get them to you so I can get them paid in July.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Okay, at the last meeting, since the negotiated agreement was not passed, you asked, there was intent language on how to place initial people when they get here. And boy, that's been a lot of fun, especially because with this new state career ladder mandate, I have out-of-state people that are coming in, but before I can issue them a contract, I have to have the state place them. So I've also found, I don't like, if I have all of their stuff, except with the exception from the state placing them, I would like to be able to also maybe add some language at some point in time. I don't know if you do this when we go through the negotiated agreement, that I have a placeholder salary for those folks that I can issue them a contract, and then I would update their contract once I know where the state has placed them. This has been a lot of fun. But
What's the time delay in between those two?
it's hard to tell with the state. It's just hard to tell with, like right now, they're kind of running a little slow because they're trying to get out that July check and stuff, so their whole finance team is working on that. And so it depends on the time of year. So, but that's what I'm having to do right now is with this new salary schedule, I'm having to issue 2 contracts for, some people, just because of the fact I don't know where they're gonna be placed on the 25-26 career ladder until I get confirmation from them, and usually I can figure that out in August. But
So how would you propose that we do a placeholder? How would that work?
yeah, so I mean, I would say at least at maybe the R3, I don't know, rung, because at the very minimum. So let's say if they have, if they have 5 years of out-of-state experience, I'm pretty confident that the state is going to allow me to put them at a P1, at least that, but I just don't know until they say yes, because they also check when I issue what's called a Form 10 to the state. They also check to make sure that the schools that they are coming from are accredited and everything. So they have their homework to do.
How problematic is this problem with respect to actually getting teachers on a contract? In other words, you can't tell them what their real salary is going to be, so they have to do something on faith.
Mhm.
And so,
And so, I mean, I just would like to be able to have like a minimum placement established. So if we're running into September and the state still hasn't gotten back to me, I can pay them something and then we retro back whatever, where the state pays them.
My question is, are people willingly accepting that kind of a process?
Well, so as far as our new people so far of onboarding, we have not had this conversation. They've been asking me where they anticipate they could land, and my response has been, just from a guess, I think this is what you'll be here, but until I know from the state, I don't know for sure.
So, in order to get them signed up, you have to issue a contract.
I would
with
like to
some number on it.
I would like to issue a contract with some number, and then the caveat, if the state places you higher, we'll reissue another contract.
And your suggestion of the slot that they would fall into?
I would say at least, it just depends. I mean, it's really kind of hard. I hate to say that cell 1 when I know that they have out-of-state experience. I can maybe say, like Jake has it open here, that maybe it's just that R3 for now. If they, just depending. If they only have, it's really tricky.
52,420.
Yeah.
So we need something on the books to authorize the HR lady to issue contracts based on that information.
Apparently.
Brooke, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is there anything that can be verified ahead of the state placing teachers on their career ladder?
I mean, yeah, we do verification of experiences, and when our verification of experiences come back, I have a pretty good idea, but now, before, where we used to say, if you had between 8 and 10 years of experience, we placed you in cell 4. Well, that's not what this is based off of now, and so it makes it a little bit trickier on that. I mean, I'll get back their VOEs and have some sort of an idea, but again, I just won't know exact until the state lets me know.
And you're just talking about if somebody comes in with, say, 5 years of experience.
Mm-hmm.
So this wouldn't be a blanket
Well, I
No,
think
it's
what she's
workaround for all of them. It would just be.
I'm looking for a minimum
Does
placeholder.
it apply only to out-of-state people?
No, I mean, well, yeah, kind of, because in-state, if I have people coming in from in-state, they've already been placed on the career ladder.
Right.
So yes, this has to do with getting out-of-state experience on the books to get them placed on the Idaho career ladder.
So are you not confident enough, and I do not mean this disrespectfully
Mhm.
whatsoever,
Right.
to make the determination of what cell you think they should go in? That is why you're asking us for direction?
Well, I mean,
Or to make an action item?
I could definitely do that. I just don't want to go outside of, like the parameters, and I want to be able to tell people that this is where I'm supposed to place you.
Okay.
And when they say, well, I have 10 years of experience, but the state hasn't verified everything yet, so I don't know.
Yeah, you don't wanna place them at a higher level.
Right.
And then end up
Right.
having to cut it back.
Exactly. I don't want to take back somebody's
I
thing. You have to pay us back that money.
So it's giving you teeth to say, I can't give you more than this right now.
Right. Yeah.
However, if an out-of-state person comes in with 2 years, why would you start them on cell 3?
Right. Exactly. I'm just saying, maybe you do an R1. Maybe you have them at that step 1. So I'm definitely looking for.
I don't see the harm in starting at R1 so that it's
Okay.
clear and consistent for
Okay.
all incoming
Yeah.
employees.
That's kind of how I
With
feel.
an understanding that you have that conversation saying, look, I'm gonna issue a contract here. The caveat is, once the state does its thing, they're gonna let me know where I should place you. So you would see an increase.
Right.
And that increase would be
Yeah.
retroactive.
Is there a statement on the contract that indicates that adjustment will be forthcoming?
Trustee Jones, on the language for the salary schedule that you guys are viewing right now, it does have that language on the salary schedule itself that they'll be placed at that rung, and that out-of-state workers will be placed by the state of Idaho on the career ladder. It's not specific on the contract. Sorry to jump in, Brooke. But I do think that the language that's being proposed here does cover what we're talking about.
So if it's not standard on the issued contract, I do believe there is a place that you could add the language for the contracts. I mean, I'd get fluent with copy and paste. To where, at least someone knows worst case scenario is the cell 1, but based on your years of experience and expertise,
You're gonna
believe-
jump.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Okay. No, that's fine. I mean, that's fine. I would say, I'm
gonna look at it from the standpoint of the person coming in from out of
Mhm.
state, and I'm interested in a position here, and you offer one at a base salary level. What guarantee do I have that at some point in the future, unknown, there will be an adjustment to my contract if there isn't something in the contract or an addendum to the contract that so states?
yeah, there should be an addendum to the contract.
That's what I believe.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we can definitely craft that addendum.
I mean, we're asking a leap of faith for someone coming in.
Right.
And, we need to do everything we can to guarantee that we'll follow through.
Right. No, we can for sure craft an addendum to the contract.
Okay. So then, do you need us to take action on
Yeah, cause you
placement?
had me put that intent language on the salary schedule instead of in the negotiated agreement, so if you could take action on that, I would greatly appreciate it.
I would move to approve the certified salary schedule language as presented.
There is no language presented.
Yeah, it is, it's right here at the bottom of the, yeah, it's all this that was added.
That was added before, when we.
No, that was on the,
This is now your new language?
Yeah, that was on the negotiated agreement.
Okay.
And because I have to start placing people and we don't have an active negotiated agreement, you guys asked me to put that language on the salary schedule.
Okay, so stating the new hires from out of state will be placed by the state of Idaho on the career ladder is sufficient language? Given that you want us to say.
Well, and I
some.
can, if that's on there, then I'll do an addendum to their contract stating,
Okay.
you know, this is where we're gonna place you for now, but then based off of your placement from the
Okay.
state.
That's part of the motion.
So we have.
Yes.
Second.
Could you clarify your motion?
The motion is to approve this language as presented and to allow Brooke to do an addendum to contracts
Or out of state.
for out-of-state individuals.
Perfect. So we have a motion and a second,
Thank you.
correct? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
So on the next one, when I presented the classified salary schedule, there is and Kelsey Badger was gonna be here, but there is
Right,
a
she
kind of
is.
a.
She is.
Oh, she is. Thank goodness, Kelsey, come on up.
Kelsey Badger, Federal Programs Director. So I noticed that the RBT was not added, Registered Behavior Technician was not added to the classified salary matrix. This is what we've been talking to you about for over a year. We're training some of our paraprofessionals to take a behavior course. It's 40 hours, and so it's under the direction of our BCBAs. After the course is completed, they have to have 30 hours of supervision. After that is done, they have to take a nationally board certified test, and then they can be an RBT. It's a term that's used pretty frequent. And so
RBT is used frequently.
Registered Behavior
in
Technician.
education, Bob, in education it's used, yes, and outside actually, outside services too. So a lot of our outside services, Syringa, North Star, they all use RBT personnel and do ABA therapy and stuff like that. So yes, it is a term we use often. So we have now, moving forward, we've been working with personnel. Now this year they've taken the test. Hopefully we'll get results soon to see if they've passed. Hopefully that is the case. They can retake it if not. And we will need to place them appropriately on that salary matrix.
Brooke, how do you determine which column they fall into? How's that determined?
So I did not determine that.
Lots of conversation on this. So paraprofessionals, if you could pull it up, you could read the columns, but paraprofessionals is one column. Behavior specialist is someone with a bachelor's degree, either in education or behavior psychology. And thank you, Mr. Massey. And so then it was in between them. This is someone that does not have to have a bachelor's degree.
Paraprofessionals are in B and the BI specialists are in E.
BI specialists do need to have a bachelor's degree.
Right, no, I
Yeah.
understand that.
Yeah.
Do we pay for their training to take this test and get certified?
So what we did, so yes, in a way. Let me explain. So the course is free. We were able to find a free course. It took us some time to find one. So we were able to find a course for them to take. And so what we did during the summer of the time was work with them during their hours that they're already logged for, not exceeding their daily pay or whatever, the 6.5 or whatever, their hours or whatever. So we figured that out over the summer. And so we did that time, we met with them, well, I didn't personally meet with them, but our BCBA's met with them. Does that make sense?
Okay, no, so the question was, did we pay for their training and their certification? What you're saying is we didn't pay for training because we found a free program.
Mhm.
Did we pay for their certification?
If they had to go over their hours or whatever, the certification from the state, they have to pay. So they have to go to the testing site and they pay that on their own. Just like we would have to pay for our testing or our license moving forward. They have to pay for the test. Everything else has been built in-house.
Okay,
They were paid on district time
Yeah.
right,
In
to
the
do
summer.
the training.
Yeah.
I understand that, yeah. So yes, we did pay for their training. Okay.
Okay, different question. On the matrix we're looking at, you have across the line there, 4 salaries as a sub-rate. Is that indicating that's new?
No, that has been on the salary schedule for
Why is
several
it-
years.
Why is it red?
Just because it's a sub rate, it's for a substitute,
Okay.
like if somebody in there, yeah, it's not a step.
Well, the other label is red also, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. Oh, and that, the other.
Making
label,
sure that they
yeah.
don't
Yeah,
correlate
it's,
to
it's
each
not
other.
new.
Okay.
The only thing different is, that position.
Okay,
Sorry.
sorry. Move to approve.
I would feel better about putting them in row C instead of row D. Or column C instead of column D.
Is there a reason you chose column D?
So Jessica and I worked about that, so sorry, I just have to look at this again. So Jessica and I worked when we were looking there. So just from, C doesn't really fit in with anyone that is in working with students. So it was just kind of like bumped to admin assistants at the desk. Base site coordinator obviously is running the base and in charge of people, obviously head custodian library leads, and so we felt like the one-on-ones to move over to that. So when Jessica and I spoke, we just felt like this was the better column that was appropriate for them, that wouldn't over succeed their BI specialist.
My concern is 40 hours of training.
And then they have to have, yes, monthly they have to have 5 supervision hours.
Compared to a BI specialist. So my concern is I don't think that they sit closer to a BI specialist that has to have a bachelor's degree than they do a paraprofessional that doesn't have a bachelor's degree. So that's why I would put them in column C. Just because column C doesn't have other people that are in a classroom doesn't mean that we can't put.
I don't disagree with that. I do know just the majority of our BI specialists that we do have in the district, they are certified teachers that weren't able to find a job or no longer want a teaching job and are now a BI specialist. They qualified because they have a certificate. They didn't qualify because you actually met and went through extensive training to be a BI specialist. So that term on this salary matrix is a little gray.
But it requires a bachelor's.
Right, a lot of our teachers go through that, right, or some of, like, you could have a counseling degree, but
Yeah,
because,
academic human services.
yeah, because it has, so, yes, it is, people have went through schooling to get, a bachelor's degree and do understand that it takes more, but RBTs, they're actually specifically wanting to work with our most at-risk children. Some of our BI specialists are instructional paras.
Well, then if that's the case, why are why do we have them three
Because they're
columns
because
ahead?
they're certified and they meet the criteria.
Well, then I wouldn't discount that by saying that they're just instructional paras.
Right.
These
Does your-
RBT personnel are working in our life skills classroom, so they are working on our most at-risk students.
Yeah, think about that for a minute.
Yeah, but the reasoning why we chose column D over column C, I think, is silly. They really do.
How many of those positions will we have?
So there will be a cap because our BCBAs can only can only have so many underneath them, and currently, we have 2. So there will be a cap, we can only have 6 right now. So we're hoping that the 3 will have it, so we'll have 3, and then we'll do more training and have more. But yeah, so as of right now, there's a cap. And also I believe the current paras that are in that position right now, of where they are on the salary matrix to where they would move over to have a certification was also taken into play.
And they'll be working in the life skills program?
Mhm.
All,
These ones are, yeah, we first started in one particular elementary school to get that set. And once that's settled down, we'll move to another.
What certifications do the hats that are in column B have? Are they required to have certifications?
No.
With the exception of, obviously, a bus driver.
O and D?
Yeah, indeed.
Oh, sorry.
You said B.
Did I?
Yeah.
My bad.
I don't think they require any certification.
Okay.
No.
Do you still, is your motion stand?
well, yes, and my reasoning is, when you think about the job these people have to do and who they're working with and some of the situations they encounter, I mean, some instances, I would say
I-
we hardly pay them enough, but.
I agree with you on that. But respectfully though, I think our instructional paras are often put in positions to work with the most difficult children, and we're starting them out at 16, 22. So that bothers me, that because we've paid for someone to get a certificate, you know, they get to jump at the head of the line when we're still gonna require the instructional paraprofessionals to do the dirty work, so to speak, with the students that are difficult.
I don't disagree with that. That's a different issue. I mean, if we wanna make a change to that, then we should deal with that separately, I think.
Also, these are working directly with Medicaid students, and so I just looked up the Medicaid billing rate because that was also another reason why. Idaho has recognized RBTs, so we can reimburse for every 15 minutes that they're working with this child. So potentially it's a range from $21 to $24 that we'll be able to get reimbursed back from them.
Okay, I'll second Bob's motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. 2 in favor, 1 opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Okay, we are down to the TCI quote. Alright. This is the social studies curriculum.
If I can, this is a secondary social studies curriculum that Dr. Pasley has been working on with our social studies teachers for over a year,
Right.
a year and a half.
I'm just curious, again, not being disrespectful. Did we not consider where we were going to get the money for this curriculum before we headed down this path, given that now we're wanting to move money from here, there, and everywhere? We have a curriculum budget. We receive money from the state for curriculum.
Chair Thompson, the amount of money we receive from the state is very minimal. In fact, the state went to, for lack of a better term, a Hunger Games model for that digital content and curriculum money that we receive. So we have to submit a request at 8 a.m. on July 1st to hopefully be one of the first people to get our request in to receive any funding. And we're capped at $50,000 for curriculum at the state. ideally, if the legislative session would have went more in the K-12 favor, there hopefully would have been some money there. Additionally, with the cut to the levy funds, we did have curriculum money in the levy previously. We do not have curriculum in the levy this time around. So unfortunately, there just wasn't enough funding to go around to fit this in this year, which is why I'm offering a proposed funding plan if the board would like to move forward with this purchase as the curriculum.
Are we able to pull more interest from the school modernization fund?
Yes, so it would, the initial interest transfer that was approved in the budget, at the budget hearing, was what we currently have accrued so far this year for interest. I do anticipate that we'll be able to accrue what we're looking at here, especially if we use that kind of combination of funding to be able to transfer that additional interest without a problem. What I noted on here, the state recently provided at the last webinar on June 4th that we are able to use that interest revenue like we did lottery funding, and lottery funding was allowed to be spent on salaries and benefits. We did receive that clarification in writing as well, so I'm confident in moving forward that we can use that school modernization interest to offset facilities, salaries, and benefits, which would then free up general fund funding for this purchase.
The scuttle about the 6% holdback, is that coming off of the school modernization funding?
That is not, it will not impact the school modernization funding. That funding was, that was a bond issuance. So the funds that we received were proceeds from a bond. So I'm not concerned about the school modernization fund. What I am concerned about is the FY26 general fund. I actually met, I recently was elected to the IASBO board. So the IASBO board works directly with the State Department of Education, and so we had a meeting this evening and discussed what holdbacks would look like. I'm hoping that they don't touch salary-based apportionment. In the past, when they've done this, it's been off the discretionary funding. So things like the college and career advisors, professional development, dyslexia funding, those all might be things that might be impacted if we have holdbacks. My understanding from the email that went out from the state last week, at this time they're not asking for any holdbacks for this current fiscal year, and they're looking at what that looks like for the legislative session in the spring for the FY27 budget. However, we were asked to brainstorm what a 2%, 4%, 6% holdback would look like, and what would be palatable. Not that any of it would be palatable. That districts could potentially live without. Literacy, there's many pots they could take it from. That's not statutory funding. The thought is that if the Board of Examiners at the state can reduce budget that are not outlined in statute, then they would not have to bring the state legislature back to vote on it. So that's kind of the guidance we've been given right now. However, what is in writing from the state is at this time they're not looking at any holdbacks for this year. But we're not meeting the revenue projections of the state. The state's not meeting its revenue projections, so I'm a little bit concerned on where that's going to lead us in the next couple months.
Okay. That's my understanding, secondary does not have the social studies curriculum.
That's correct. Yeah, the last full adoption was in 2006.
Okay.
I believe they had a partial adoption for a government class in 2010.
Okay.
But regardless, that's a long time ago.
That is a long time ago.
Yeah, we do have social studies classrooms around the district that have piloted this for the last year or so. That committee that worked with Dr. Pasley is very confident that this would be a worthwhile investment. This would be something where we could purchase it and live with it for quite a while. Yeah.
Nobody's questioning whether it's worthwhile, it's how you pay for it.
Sure.
Right.
So Jessica, in your write-up, you had item C, which was transfer $335,000 from the school modernization fund. You see that as still plausible?
Yes, I do, as long as, with the way that the projects are gonna roll out, the majority of the school modernization fund projects will hit next spring, summer. So we'll have almost the whole year to accrue interest on that. The LGIP rates have been going down, but they've been fairly consistent. So we're generating quite a bit of interest every month right now on that 20 million that's in there, so.
What have we, do you know off the top of your head what we've accrued so far in just the couple months that we've had
We
it?
will have enough to transfer the 315 that we put into the budget hearing, in the 6-ish months that we've had the funding, in our possession. Reminding you that we received a portion of it, end of December, and the rest didn't come until, I think, end of February, early March. So we were able to accrue enough interest in that time to do that $315,000 transfer that we had built into the budget. So I'm confident that we should be able to get to the 335 fully, if that's what we would like to do. With the federal forest funds not, again, they told us that not to anticipate any revenue for that. If we were able to clear that account out, that would be one less account to track and report on. So selfishly, that would be a nice thing to do, but I think any of the combinations that we have on here would be appropriate.
What do we typically use the federal forest funds for?
One-time purchases, because it's not guaranteed funding, so
Right.
we do use 8,000 of it for our CTE, the help that we get from Colby Matilla for our CTE packets, for the federal funding. But we would have to build that into the general fund going forward, after the funds are expended, but we would have to find a spot for that anyway, because we're potentially no longer getting any federal forest funds going forward.
Right.
But that's typically been used for just a one-time, one-off, non-recurring expense.
And the total cost on this is the 330,451.
Yes, I rounded up just to be safe. I would only transfer what we absolutely needed to pay for it.
I would move that we move forward with the adoption and purchase of the social studies curriculum, utilizing the school modernization transfer funds as appropriate for the purchase.
The interest, correct?
Yes.
So leaving the board approved projects fund and the forest funds out of it,
Yes.
leave them alone?
Yes.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Chair Thompson?
Yeah.
Just to clarify, because I couldn't hear very well, I apologize. Did we specify that we're moving it to cover salaries and benefits so that we could free up general fund to make the purchase? I just wanted to be very clear to the public and that we're using the funds from the interest to support facilities, because that is all we can use it for. We can't use the funds from the interest to purchase the curriculum, so I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Correct, as presented in letter C on your memo.
Perfect, thank you so much. I apologize, I couldn't hear.
Right, so we have the MOU from the University of Idaho. This is a recurring MOU.
Mm-hmm. So that they can do student teaching, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Moving on to the City of Rathdrum MOU. This long-standing, hey, we have signatures.
So it's signed off on by the city, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And this MOU would be for the upcoming school year, not the previous school year that it was written for.
So we're gonna have to send it back to the city of Rathdrum anyway, because we have officially accepted the hire of our new superintendent, and this has Lisa's, I mean, it's just, we're gonna have to get new signatures. I
Okay.
mean, I would approve it with those changes. I will move to approve with the changes of it being to go into effect this year. Oh yeah, this says the 25th day of June.
Correct.
2025, okay, yep. But it'll have to go with our new superintendent's name on it.
You don't think we could just line the name out
Yeah.
and put?
Oh yeah, we could do
Okay.
that, yeah, that's
Okay.
fine too.
Okay.
Your first official act.
Well, I mean, I suppose maybe he should read through the MOU.
I did.
Oh, you
I
did?
already did,
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect.
It's pretty standard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have a motion, do we have a second?
Move to approve.
I already moved.
Second.
You can only second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. THS Science elective.
What happened?
Broke it. Schedule a demo.
Broke it, go back to your.
I'll get rid of it.
There you go. As long as this aligns with the state standards for science class, I am good with it. I know that it makes it easier for students to take electives
Mhm.
when they also satisfy some of those required classes, so I will move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, but I do have a question.
Okay.
Is there no curriculum with this course? It's just a 3-ring binder? Those are materials needed, but is there curriculum? Does anybody know the answer to that?
I'm not sure the answer to that, no, but I can certainly find out for you.
Okay.
From my understanding, they've already been teaching this, it's just to make it an
Approved
elective.
For credit.
Cause they've had it as just an elective.
Okay, so they're taking out the animal studies course from the FFA program and making it an elective?
They're not taking it out, they are making it, it is already an elective, they're making it a science elective.
Substitute credit.
To give them
Okay,
credit for
okay,
a
I
science
gotcha.
class.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting language. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Moving on to discussion items, we have the harassment and bullying data. I really struggle with this data because I don't think it's an accurate reflection, because we are adhering to the letter of the law and not the cries of the students that feel that they are being bullied, or that parents that come into the office and say, hey, my kid is being bullied. But because it doesn't meet all of the criteria required in statute, it was quite minimal, we don't classify it as bullying. And so we champion on the fact that there's no bullying. It drives me nuts how many times people, oh, there's no bullying, when that's not an accurate portrayal. I mean, there is bullying that goes on. And I think if we could acknowledge it and address it in a positive fashion, we could minimize it to where kids aren't afraid to come to school because being bullied.
Yeah, to be fair, I think that some of these low numbers, zeros in most schools, I think reflects that positive intervention. I agree with you, it's human nature, those incidents are gonna come up, they do. But I also know that our teams handle that very swiftly, and according to some protocols that are pretty tight.
Okay.
And so I do think that there is something to be celebrated there, absolutely, in that the intervention is effective.
Okay.
And that would make sense for the repeat incidences being low. But those single incidents, it's like
They
yeah.
happen, yeah, they
Mhm.
happen.
Am I missing the fact that there's no schools identified on these?
I'm trying to remember how
Tabs at the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Down at the bottom.
we're not looking at a spreadsheet, we're looking at a PDF of the document.
Right.
I was able to
That-
click on it in the board, in that too.
So is that?
Yeah, you can, but we get PDFs because we don't work off of Excel spreadsheets, because we want a document that is a snapshot in time, right here, right now. This is exactly what it was. It's not a document that somebody can change later or update later. So we use PDFs. We also can't make notes for ourselves in documents that are linked. We can only make notes for ourselves in Board Book on PDFs that are attached to the agenda. Just for clarification for you guys for
Sure.
moving forward, that's, so if you see that memo that is there, and yeah, we can click on the link, but we don't do that. We use the PDFs that are included that follow. So labeling those.
So it does look like if you scroll down through the PDF, it should identify each building as you go.
It just doesn't have the names of the schools. Each graph is there, but that just says that each graph should have the header.
Sure.
I apologize, that was a clerk oversight.
Okay.
No worries. Any conversation we need to have, this is a discussion item.
Nope.
Okay. Moving on to the quarterly heritage health data. Any conversation to be had on the data from Heritage Health?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the parent organization finances. This is pursuant to our policy, that we are just provided with the, financials, just at the end of the year to make sure that, you know, whatever they're earning, they're investing back.
As a numbers person, some of this math isn't mathing for me, so I'm not sure, because I do this for a living, so I'm not quite sure how you can have a starting balance and revenues received and total expenditures and then have the ending balance not be the sum of the parts.
I would agree with you on that. I just know that the prior superintendent had issues getting people to comply. People were confused about what they had to offer. I encouraged her to just reassure everyone that it's not about micromanaging at all. It's just about informing the board of their support of the schools. So give us a starting balance, what they've received in, what they've spent out, and where they end the year. So
I'm good with that. I would like to revisit our policy on this
okay.
for next year, and maybe rather than numbers like this, maybe providing a narrative of what they've done.
Okay.
Because I would like that more than
Right. Well, it looks like
just dollar amounts.
LMS PTC, they actually did identify what they spent, which was
Mhm.
kind of cool. And which one is this? Oh, the Booster Club. Yeah, they've got all their stuff in there, which is pretty awesome. I mean, they do
Mhm.
such a phenomenal job for our district. I didn't see TMS. Did I miss it? Or
Twin Lakes Middle
THS.
School does
No.
not have one.
No, THS Booster Club.
Yeah, it's in here.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I am really not doing good tonight. Okay, yeah, fairly minimum, which is, I mean, just trying to assure, because some people were, I guess this was an issue for some people, which I don't understand why, but
Oh,
I can respect that, I guess. Do we have any questions, comments? Okay. Great, thank you for complying with the statute.
And thank you
Or
all for all you
policy.
do for the
Yes.
kids and our district.
Yes. We have a fee report. Sorry. Mr. Taylor, is there anything you'd like to insert?
I couldn't open that when I was reviewing it,
okay.
and I guess it's locked because I didn't.
Not a worry.
I'm not in your network, so.
Okay,
I
gotcha.
just wanted to see it, that's all.
No worries. So this is the end of year fee report. I'm a little cautioned. Mountain View has collected an exorbitant amount of fees, but it doesn't say for what.
So if I can clarify, we were asked at the building level to provide a number on fees waived. And so
Okay.
the dollar amount that you see is the amount that we purposefully did not collect or waived at each site.
Oh, okay. Fee report per policy.
Yeah, the
Okay.
agenda item actually says
Fees waived.
year end, yeah.
Okay. That's a significant amount, but I understand. Timberlake Metal also had a huge issue, I guess, on their Chromebooks. Huh. Really like to have a better understanding of that. Why are the Chromebooks costing so much? Any other further conversation or discussion? No? Then we have the seclusion and restraint report to review.
Actually, I do. Don't we have, on the Chromebooks, don't we have insurance that the parents can opt into and purchase?
We do, yeah, we do have a coverage policy, and it's very helpful to families. I think this information probably reflects that built in. Administrators were just asked, basically based on your records, who did you tell you don't have to pay these fees? And so I would assume that built into that Timberlake number, if those are mostly Chromebook damage fees, they're probably pulling amounts. If kids owed $20 for a broken screen because they had the insurance policy, or if they owed $100 for a broken screen because they didn't, that's probably all just mixed in that sum. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I guess I would want to see like what the income for the insurance,
Sure.
what that total was
Yeah.
compared to what was spent to fix some of those.
Totally.
Like, is it worth our time to be?
Yeah. And that's something that is typically held, because the insurance cost is $20 per student per year at the secondary level, and so all of that money goes to technology, and they hold that fund, and the buildings actually don't really have knowledge of what's in that fund. We're just tasked with contacting the families whenever they have a damage to repair.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So. Okay, pursuant to the policy though, it states that the report is to be made regarding the fee schedules and the fees waived. So we're supposed to see what are our fees that we're supposed to be collecting and what's been waived. I would like to see this come back to the board with just that information.
Sure.
If you could do that, that would be great.
Absolutely.
I realize it may be a little challenging where we are at in the calendar. But if we can gather some information, or at least make a note, for next year when this comes forward, that, we have how much the fees are, what we're supposed to be collecting, and what we've waived. Cause I believe that's, I just read the policy.
Absolutely.
Because it does state that as a condition of graduation or issuance of an official transcript, the district requires all fees incurred by a student to be satisfied and all property of the district to be returned. So I would think that, somebody has to be keeping tabs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I believe that they are.
I would think so. I would hope so. Can't do any more input or conversation on the fee report. Oh, did we move on? And I just interjected. Okay.
That's okay.
I apologize. Moving on to the seclusion and restraint report. Interesting. So we only have one school with restraint and conclusion. That's interesting. Do we need to have any further conversation on seclusion and restraint? No. Okay. Any possible action items for discussion? We have our dates to remember. I'd just like to let everyone know that the July 2nd board meeting has been canceled. Do we have any board member input for future agenda items?
Not that I can think of right now.
We did receive an email request from the clerk about things that would help modify or help her. Do we need that to be an action item on the agenda to approve that? Because if we do, we need to put that on the next agenda. I feel bad making her. There were a few things that I'm like, I don't think we can do that. But good suggestions.
If I may, they were more hopeful
I caught that in your memo. I did. But I'm like, ooh, that's a lot of dollars.
Let's put it on the next.
The next agenda? Okay, we'll make that note, please.
May I ask a question of the dates to remember?
Yes.
Since we are canceling the July 2nd special board meeting, will we be canceling policy committee
Yes.
as well?
Yeah, go ahead and cancel that. Okay. There's no further input. I will try to reach Mr. Quimby so we can go back into executive session.
Ring ding. One ring ding. Yeah, it's not your this time.
Hello?
Hey David, we are ready to go into executive session for the final of the meeting. So we need a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 742061. We'll just go B and J. I think it's just J.
Second.
We need a roll call vote.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Bain?
Yes.
Chair Thompson?
Yes.
Trustee Quimby?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, on that, we are going into executive session. It is 8:28. All right, so we've come out of executive session. There are no further action items. We're gonna go ahead and end the meeting at 8:56. Meeting